So our presentations will start with Indonesia. That is the order of our presentation. So I invite Indonesia to present the scholasticate.
So thank you very much, Anthony, for the time given to me to present to you all our sharing from Indonesia. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you all. Dear Father Provincial, Father Superior General, sorry, and also the participants of this workshop, we are happy to share with you the materials about our holy and big family, religious family, particularly in Indonesia. We prepared this presentation, so we hope that it become more easily to you all to follow. Next. Since I'm not alone here as the participants in this meeting, so I will introduce myself and also my beloved brother, Father Wahyu, who also with us. My name is Antonius Widiatmoko, OME. You can call me Widi. My birth, February 8th. The data is there. My first vows, 1996. Final vows, 2002. My priest ordination, 2003. And then I had 10 years ministry in Paris. And start from 2013 until now, I have been becoming superior of the scholasticate in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. So it is already 8 years. And my brother here, Aloysius Wahyu, smiling face, birth 1984, first vows 2005, final vows 2011, priest ordination 2012, and then he did his parish ministry for 4 years, and after that joined me in the scholasticate associates, and start by 2020 up to now, he is director of the juniorate in Indonesia. Next, I would like to introduce you Indonesia at a glance. It is the map of Indonesia above Australia, below the Philippines, Malaysia, near to that. We have 1,300 ethnic groups and 700 languages with 270 million people in our country, 86 something percent Islam, 10% something Christianity, 1.7% Hinduism, and less than 1% other Buddhism, Konghucu. And we have 3 time zones, +7, +8, +9. Next. About my province of Indonesia by this month. 30 priests, 12 scholastics, 5 brothers, 5 novices, 5 pre-novices, 29 juniors. We work in 11 parishes in 6 dioceses, 1 retreat house, 2 Marian shrines, 22 schools, 1 medical clinic, 4 formation houses. I'm going to present you about the questionnaire given by Ganesh Ngoka. What cause are we hearing from the changing society, especially in the context of COVID-19 pandemic? It is a widespread impact on many aspects of life because of COVID-19, educational, economic, political, social, cultural issues, and also physical and mental health. Education. Most schools have made online home learning, though exactly how they have done it varies with the geographic and socioeconomic diversity across the nation. The platform allows teachers to upload learning materials and assignments, and students submit their work. Nearly 60 million children out of school in Indonesia because of the COVID-19. Online distance learning remains a challenge for many, and many children live in poor situation without internet and gadget. And missing long periods of learning prevents many students from meeting grade level knowledge and skill expectations. In long run, it could put Indonesia at a risk of generation gap due to social economic skill development. Economy. Millions of people will be pushed into poverty. The massive spread of COVID-19 caused a decline in economic activity. This has happened in various sectors such as household consumption, investment, and financial institutions. In the household sector, there is a threat of loss of community income because they cannot work to fulfill their daily needs, especially for the poor and vulnerable households and the informal sector. So this is the statistic that we could present to you. Difficult to find job, 45%. Laid off, 90%. Crime, 75%. Trade declined, 95%. We take from Google Form 2020 in Seminar Nasional and call for the paper Hobi Sintek. Politics. The negative economic and social impact felt by the COVID-19 pandemic have already the potential to cause a political crisis, especially regarding public trust in the government. The crisis situation caused by COVID-19 is vulnerable to being politicized by parties who are at odds with the government. The other one, the impact of COVID-19 is social stigma. Social stigma occurs not only in individuals who are infected by COVID-19 themselves, but also extends to the family members, people close to patients, and health workers. Many people avoid to meet them because of this. Social stigma have caused mental and physical damage and increased various negative symptoms, such as increased stress, depression, and drug use. Social stigma in Indonesia even caused a feeling of worthlessness, but maybe not only in Indonesia, but also in worldwide. As COVID-19 patients internalize negative stereotypes and blame themselves for transmitting the virus to family members or others. In the field of religion, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted religion in various ways, including the cancellation of the worship services, of various faiths and closure of Sunday schools, as well as the cancellation of pilgrimages, ceremonies, and festivals. Many churches, mosques, and temples have offered worship through live stream amidst the pandemic. And for our people, Christian, some Catholic people find difficulty to understand the sacrament as a means and signs of salvation from God. This difficulty arises because people can only follow and celebrate the sacraments, especially the Eucharist, online. The absence of direct encounter causes reduction and degradation of appreciation of the effectiveness of online masses as a means and a sign of salvation. But praise to God, this pandemic has made some people become more faithful, more diligent in praying with personal devotions. But there are also those who experience a crisis in faith, especially due to the death of their close person or relatives, a crisis of the meaning of life. Ecclesiastical koinonia crisis also happened. Loneliness feeling, not being reassured when suffering. It is also impacted to our oblation vocation. We find difficulties in encountering young people for promoting the vocation physically. The number of youth who knows and interested to join our congregation is decreasing. Our recognition to the candidates is more limited than the years before pandemic. Sometimes we accept candidates who join our formation without a complete understanding of them. So how should we prepare our formants by the situation? Next. Next. First of all, be aware of our roles as formators. The first, personal accompaniment due to reflect the situation theologically, also mentally, psychologically. The second one, motivating the formants to answer that situation. The church always present among the people and ready to answer the need by bringing the news of salvation, not as a salvation which has to come as eschatological aspect, but the most important for the nowadays is the salvation here and now, hic et nunc, regarding the provincial for the poor. The third, we as formators give good example to take action and involved in responding the need of the people. And the fourth, we are helping the formants to be aware of their position as public opinion leader. Why? Because clerics are often more effective than civil servants in conveying the government's messages to the community. By using the religious idioms that are well known to the public, clerics can communicate with their people about why a religious ritual can be performed in their respective homes for greater benefit. This kind of religious cultural approach will enable the religious community to understand and to accept government calls for physical distancing. And what we have been doing. Next. We divide into two, external orientation and internal. The external. During the pandemic, visiting non-COVID-19 patients in the governmental hospital. And we do this. Visiting prisoners in jail. But sometimes the prison open and close, so we just follow the. The third, donating blood for life every 2 months. So we have collaboration with Indonesian Red Cross, and they come to our community to the scholasticate, and we donate blood. The fourth, visiting the disabled family. Before pandemic, we have monthly mass for disabled, but now we cannot, so we visit them in their houses. 5, actively giving online recollection to youth and other age segments. 6, actively broadcasting reflections, songs, pictures, homemade short videos made by our scholastics via social media, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Keep producing any materials regarding oblate vocation and providing the online vocation promoting together with the other congregations, especially the sister. And internal orientation, we make the situation as an occasion, chance to build community, pray together, community sharing, manual works. And we also study together within community on COVID-19 related issues, theological reflections, etc. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Antonius Aloysius, for the presentation. We see that coronavirus caused many troubles, but also our creativity grew, I think, a lot. So that's our answer to coronavirus trouble. Thank you for the presentation. And now we have here new appointed superior of the International Roman International Scholasticate, Gregory. So that's his turn now.
Cordial greetings to all of you, Father Louis, for Cornelius, for Anthony, and all the oblates who are participating. Am I audible? Yes, okay. So first of all, I'm very happy to be a member of this missionary congregation and also participant in this workshop. As it is introduced, and many would know that I am appointed as a superior of the International Scholasticate, but still I am in Rome waiting for the flight to reach Rome. Therefore, most of my sharing would be based on the experience that I had in India. In Indian context, I think yesterday for the David Kumar, I shared elaborately about the experience that we have here. We have two scholasticates in India. We had two. One was for South and another one is for North. I was scholastic superior of the North India scholastic that is situated in Pune. India is a subcontinent with 1.3 billion people, and it has got 28 states and 8 union territories. And we know India is also cradle of religions, where 80% of people practice Hinduism, 14% practice Islam, 2.3% practice Christianity, 1.7% practice Sikhism, 0.7% practice Buddhism, and 0.4% Jainism. So we have 20 million Catholics in India. And there are three major rites: the Latin Rite, Syro-Malabar Rite, and Syro-Malankara Rite. Syro-Malabar Rite has got 132 dioceses, Syro-Malabar 31 dioceses, and Syro-Malankara 11 dioceses. Christianity came to India during the Apostles' period itself, 52 AD, and Oblates came to India in 1968 AD. Right now in India, there are 95 Oblate priests are working. And coming to International Roman Scholasticate, we have got 4 formation staff members and 22 scholasticates, 22 scholastics. Jaffna and Pakistan have got two scholastics each, and rest of the countries that I will be naming now, they have got 1 scholastic. Ukraine, Senegal, India, Philippines. So Philippines has got 2, sorry. USA, Colombia, Canada, Namibia, Vietnam, Congo, Kenya, France, Mexico, South Africa, Nigeria, Poland. So all of them have got 1 scholastic each. During my formation, I was introduced well and instructed about the missionary life. To test our missionary zeal, missionary spirit, when we were scholastics, we were sent to North India, since I come from South India, North India, for our summer exposure, to live among people of a different culture and different language. It made me clear that missionary is the one who goes wherever he is sent to preach and bear witness for the gospel at that time. But now, at this stage of my life, I understand that missionary is one who loves the gospel, goes in obedience to the places sent, and loves the local people. The love for the local people lies in and demonstrated, I believe, by preaching the gospel, learning their own language, and adapting to the culture. My experience was when I was in the North India, Pune. I hear a message that I am not heard by, I do not know, maybe some. Am I clear for others? Am I audible for others? Okay, then I continue. Though it was not necessary for us to learn the local language, because most of activities we do in English, I learned Hindi, and whoever our fathers go there, they have learned the language so that we could communicate with the people, and at times also invite people for mass to be celebrated in their own language. I joined the Oblates in the year 1995 and made my first profession in the year 2001 and final profession in the year 2005. In the last 16 years after my final profession, I was nearly 5 years in Rome to do my licentiate and my doctorate in moral theology. Therefore, I was a part of a International Roman Scholasticate, as well as I was also part of the General House community. Then 3 years, I was doing my pastoral ministry as an assistant pastor, and 7 years I was in formation. While in formation, I was also side by side teaching moral theology and subaltern philosophy. We have got our own philosophy in India called Demasters Institute of Philosophy. There I was taking subaltern philosophy. Of course, to teach moral theology, I used to go to the nearby seminary wherever our scholastics go for their study, for their classes. I have accompanied these 7 years of formation ministry experience, 1 year in the pre-novitiate and 6 years in the scholasticate post-novitiate program. Out of these 6 years, 3 years I was a vice rector, and last 3 years I was a superior. So I see now that more than having experience of a missionary in a strict sense, that is going to a new geographical setting, preaching Jesus in the places where he is not known, traditionally speaking, converting others to Christianity, mission at the extra, all this experience I unfortunately do not have. But being in the formation, I feel I'm growing and living in the missionary spirit. My experience in the formation ministry, I treasure the vocation of our scholastics, and I always wished that they are well formed as a missionary religious oblate. I journey and accompany them as their elder brother. The great blessing in the formation ministry that I experience is that in this ministry, there is plenty of opportunity for me to keep in touch with my inner self. That means a constant conversion and self transformation. Sometimes I, with so much joy and conviction, live out my oblate charism, but at times I had to force myself to live according to oblate charism and religious life. I was constantly aware of the responsibilities given to me to form the scholastics, the future oblates. Since I am aware of my limitations and personal struggles, I never wished to be a rigorous taskmaster. But because of over enthusiasm, I used to demand so much from brothers at times, not being sensitive to our common human inclinations. But later, I used to ask sorry to the brothers for my being tough too. I used to instruct our brothers, especially during the conferences, to live our life joyfully and faithfully according to the gospel and our constitution, reading the signs of the times. I used to be satisfied with the instructions initially because our brothers listen well and also they take good notes. But I have learned in the course of time that the real formator is not the one who gives excellent instructions and insights, but one who becomes, in a way, inspiration to the scholastics to choose and live gospel values with oblate charism. And I felt this is a great challenge. That is my real experience. Personalization and interiorization of the oblate charism are very much essential to inspire our younger brothers in the formation. Although every individual is the agent, rather primary agent of one's own formation, and Jesus is the model par excellence of our formation, yet the more I, as a formator, inspire brothers to choose and live the gospel values with oblate charism, then I felt I am truly doing the ministry of formation. So I feel in today's context, inspiring life of the formators play a vital role in the formation of the scholastics. I agree very much that human beings need examples, living examples, and constant reminders. Examples inspire, reminders to overcome distractions and disorientations. Coming to the last two part, what calls are we hearing from this changing society? We are called to be very strong in our faith in Jesus Christ because the world is becoming more secular and very attractive. Our belief, discourse, narrative, preaching about heaven, hell, purgatory, or rebirth in some religions are squarely questioned by growing number of people today. Therefore, I feel we are called to be very strong in our faith. We hear the call to seriously evaluate the present structure and lifestyle of the religious, because some of the past things that we are doing does not give meaning to the modern world, especially clericalism, patriarchalism, liturgy merely as a rubrics, spiritualism, institutionalism. All these things need to be really challenged today. Our faith in Christ needs to be authenticated today by our option for the poor, caring for the planet. Hence, I believe JPIC ministry is one of the appropriate and appreciable ways of doing new evangelization. Finally, how should we better prepare our formandi for post-COVID-19 church and society? Our formandi need to be prepared very much as persons of hope and courage amidst uncertainty and fear. We need to equip our formandis with the necessary skills in communication technology. In the post-COVID church, evangelization through social media is going to be the inevitable paradigm. Therefore, we need to form our scholastics to be innovative and creative in using the social media. However, internet and media could also destroy human values and human dignity. Therefore, we have to be prudent in using the modern gadgets and accompanying the youth. We need to bridge the gap between technologically advanced and technologically backward members in this digital society. People without technology have already become new segment of poor in many phases. So thank you, one and all, for listening to my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Gregory. In one presentation, we had two presentations because we had presentation of Scholasticate in Pune and also International Scholasticate in Rome. Probably about International Scholasticate in Rome, we'll learn more because we'll visit also, at least those who are in Rome, we'll visit them. One evening we'll go there. So thank you for this presentation. We are waiting. I repeat again, we are waiting.
Yes. Thank you, Anthony.
Now we remain in Asia and we go to Jaffna. Jaffna is ready to present their Scholasticate.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Satish. Yes. I'll base my presentation on these questions. My experience as missionary orbit and in the ministry of formation. I'm Satish Roy. I'm from the province of Jaffna, Sri Lanka. I was ordained in 2010. After my ordination, I received my first obedience to be an assistant pastor in a parish with the senior Bombay. It was a Hindu populated area and the number of Catholics were very few. We had to work hard to keep them to be firm in their faith. Beside that, there were many refugee camps in the parish territory and I got the chance to serve them. In serving them, I understood the charism of our congregation in a better way. I experienced the poor in many places. I worked only 1 year in that parish. Then I was asked to go to our junior as a formator and a bursar. I served there for 3 years. Then I joined the parish preaching band and enjoyed preaching ministry for 7 months. While I was in the preaching ministry, my then provincial asked me to go to Rome for formation course. I followed 2 years formation course at Gregorian. After finishing my studies, I received my obedience to the Oblate Scholasticate Kandy, Sri Lanka, as one of the staff. This Scholasticate belongs to Colaba province, and brothers from Jaffna province go there to do their philosophy. I was there for 4 years. Formation ministry in Kandy helped me and formed me in many ways. Now I have come back to my own province, and here too I am involving in the formation ministry at our scholastic. I see the formation in my country in three different phases. First, formation during war, formation in the aftermath of war. Third, formation during COVID-19. My initial formation took place during the civil war in my country. We experienced difficulties in many ways. We experienced many displacements, but our formators did not give up their mission of forming the candidates who were under their care. They helped us to grow in the charism of our congregation. War did not stop us to join the Colombo province for certain stages of formation, namely pre-novitiate, novitiate, and philosophy. Still, we are continuing. We were exposed to different realities of life. Those realities helped me to be firm in my vocation and to appreciate my call. Formation in the aftermath of war. In 2009, the 30 years of civil war came to an end. People started to build their houses. A lot of facilities came in. The youngsters started a new way of life. We received vocation from these youngsters. They wanted to be freer, and they expect all the facilities that the other boys of their age have. Their involvement in social media is high. But in formation houses, we face a lot of problems in training them to use the social media in a proper way. In this new trend, we also experience less number of vocation. As we were educating them not to get lost in the social media, the new trend of COVID-19 came in. So our formation now, I'm focusing on formation during COVID-19. Facing this new trend, forcing us to use the social media in all the aspects of life. Now everything is virtual. Holy Mass, education, even our meeting. We can't go out. We can't involve in pastoral ministry. No visiting of the sick. No prison ministry. In this reality, we are called to adapt our formation to the new reality. How? How are we going to help our brothers to be relevant to the new reality? As we all are affected by this situation, how are we going to give hope to the society? What kind of hope we are going to give? Our church doors are closed. People can't come for Mass. And people will slowly forget to go to church. How are we going to help them to be firm in their faith? Many youngsters are going away from the church. How are we going to bring them back? And these are the questions in my mind when I think about formation. Therefore, in this training program, I'm waiting to listen to you all, and I'm waiting to get some insight to form our candidates in this new trend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are learning also, for example, using Zoom now, and we are every day we are learning. Maybe it will help also to the scholastics. So thank you for the presentation, and I think we'll remain in Sri Lanka and we go to Colombo.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm Andreas. At the moment, I'm in the Scholasticate in Kandy, and I'm very happy to be an oblate. And at this moment, I thank the Lord and all my formators, including my own mom and dad, and all the formators from the juniorate up to this moment in the Scholasticate, who have nurtured us, nourished us, supported us, and who really took good care of us. I always cherish those moments. I'm always proud to say that we had great formators during our time. Wonderful formators who really cared for us. And I only hope, now that I am in part of the formation team at the Scholasticate, that we will also be able to do the same for the younger ones who have been entrusted to our care. And now I was ordained in 1990, and my first obedience was to be on a mission to Indian delegation. But I do not know whether it was fortunate or unfortunate. I was not given visa. Therefore, the next provincial who came into the office told me, you know all three languages, better stay in Sri Lanka. So that's where I ended up in Sri Lanka for the past 30 years. And I started my priestly ministry as a formator assistant at the pre-novitiate, and then to the novitiate as a socius. Then after some times, I went back to the juniorate as the rector. And now since last Valentine's Day, I have been made the superior of the Scholasticate in Kandy. So after 3 months, the scholastics have gone home due to this COVID unforeseen situation. So in this process, in the sense of when we were students as formandis, we were engaged in a lot of pastoral activities. We got involved in the life of the people. We got in extracurricular activities. I remember one of the formators told us, if you want to be a good priest and a missionary in the future, as scholastics, get involved in the life of the people. That is very, very important. Get involved in the life of the people. Get mixed up with them. Come to know their reality, the life situation, their life issues, and speak to them. And I always remember with great honor, late Father Bob Lacard, a French Canadian who was at the Scholasticate with us. He always reminded us as formandis, brothers, please remember, when you go for pastoral work, not that what you do matters, but what happens to you, how it forms you, how it challenges you, and what are the learning experience that you have from that experience is what matters. It's not what you do to the people. It is in the process of doing, you are being formed. He always challenged us, late Father Robert Lacard. So I have also been a pastor in city and rural parishes where they have used bilingual, both Sinhalese and Tamil communities were there. And I have been a preacher, and also I have worked in Ireland for 2 years in Inchicore parish after my studies. I gratefully remember that experience too, and thanking the Anglo-Irish Oblates that time. Father Tom Murphy was the provincial. So I'm grateful to them also for giving me such a wonderful pastoral exposure in Ireland. And now coming to the COVID situation and how these formations that we are trying to do. As Father Satyasilan rightly explained, it is actually in our own context, it's really an issue of the using of these communication tools, especially the social network in our study process. It may not be the problem in Europe and in other parts of the world, but it is really a problem because we were told not to give the mobile phones to the children at small age, but now we are compelling them to use it, otherwise no classes can be done. So in such scenario, how are we to reconcile? How are we to deal with this tension that we have? Sometimes even with scholastics, we tell them to use and we tell them not to use. How are we to do this? How are we to understand our young scholastic in such cases? Sometimes it's a problem. Our thinking patterns, our way of life, and their thinking pattern and their way of life are really challenging. And it will be easy as a formator for me to label them when they don't comply with my kind of a request or our kind of a request, to blame them or to name them as bad guys, bad candidates. No, but we need to equip ourselves. I need the skills that I need to understand them, to grapple with this, and to sort it out amicably so that we can gracefully grow together in the houses of formation. And I also, when we talk about formation, our constitution number 47 says that it is a process which aims at the integral growth of a person that lasts a lifetime. So this is not going to end at the scholastic age. My formation is not come to an end at this moment. I have to go until my time to see the other side. So it is an ongoing process. So I think in this crucial time of post-COVID, very important one is an ongoing process of conversion. Day in and day out, an ongoing process of conversion is very much in line with this post-COVID-19. And then also this pandemic challenges us to move from activism to silence and solitude, to learn the art of facing the within, the divine that is within, to encounter that and to hear the inner voice. I think I need to grow in that. I need, and my formation staff need to help the formandis who are in the scholastic age to go deep into the silence, to the solitude. I think as Karl Rahner reminded us during his lifetime, he said, in the 21st century, a Christian has to be a mystic, a contemplative. I think we need to embrace that reality. And that is one of the reality that the East has given to us. We need to embrace that. And also a shift from egoism to altruism, which is going to be a challenge. Sometimes we have lived to ourselves. We have not thought of others. But here, it challenges me, the formations team, as well as the formands, to be compassionate givers, to extend assistance to other people, those who are living in and around us, not expecting a benefit or a reward. And it is also, it's an invitation to introspect, as I said, introspect, to examine myself, my lifestyle, and to adopt the vowed life of poverty, simplicity. And it's a challenge. Sometimes I need to question myself, is my life itself is a challenge or a scandal to my formats? I need to ask that. So, and then to, as I said, to experience solitude and it's to handle the situation of loneliness. And also this pandemic situation helps us or challenges us for listening to global realities, We need to cultivate that attitude to listen to the Lord, to listen to the people who are living in and around us. And also, it is time that we have more, even in our formation program, eco-spirituality, to consider the whole universe. This whole universe is giving us new lessons now, and there are a lot of new thinking and new plans. So we need to take those things into consideration, which demands, as I reminded at the beginning, the metanoia. We need to work on that. And then few more, like how long to wait. We don't know when this COVID pandemic is going to end. Our scholastics don't know. We don't know how the seminary is going to continue the classes. We don't know. Still, if I speak to the other formators of other religious houses and the seminary, they have only a question. We also don't know when. So how long are we going to wait? And in this wait, what is our attitude? Are we going to wait like Job? Maybe we have to experience like Job, losing everything and then later on getting everything in 2, 3 fold. And also this COVID reminds us to discover the meaning of suffering. We have got used to cozy, comfortable life. So the meaning of suffering and to have faith in the crucified Lord in this pandemic situation. And finally, never to surrender to natural calamities, but to fight, to hope against hope, and to be men of faith, hope, and love. First, as formation staff, we need to be men of faith, hope, and love, and to share that with our formandees so that they could in return share with the people, those who come in contact with them. Thank you. God bless one and all.
Thank you, Father. Thank you very much. So we see pandemic could be also opportunity for us for conversion, and really we can learn a lot. Thank you for that. And we can go, I think, to one more presentation, and we can go to Madagascar. Rosina.
Alors, je suis reconnaissant d'être parmi vous dans cette, disons, réunion, rencontre de tous les formateurs. Bonjour, bonsoir à ceux qui sont dans l'extrême est de ce globe. Et ici à Madagascar, nous sommes à 16 heures. Nous sommes dans la saison hivernale maintenant, donc il fait froid. La température a beaucoup baissé depuis des paires de semaines. Avant tout, je voudrais me présenter également aussi la situation dont nous vivons ici à Madagascar dans le contexte de la formation. Moi, je suis le père Osinar Akutumalala. Je suis entré chez les Oblats en 2002 au pré-novitiat, après avoir terminé le lycée en 2001, l'école technique. En 2003, j'ai commencé mon noviciat et 2004, j'ai terminé et puis j'ai prononcé mes premiers vœux. Après ça, j'ai eu l'opportunité de continuer l'étude ici au Scholastica de Fianarantsoa. À Fianarantsoa se trouve au moyen sud de l'île de Madagascar. Et de 2006 à 2009, j'ai eu l'opportunité d'aller continuer l'étude à Rome, au Scholastica International. Et je suis rentré en 2009 et ayant ordonné diacre. Et en 2010, j'ai suis ordonné le 4 juillet dernier, comme vous m'avez souhaité, les anniversaires de l'ordination le lundi dernier. Madagascar, c'est une grande île. Dans le contexte de, disons, d'informations sur la situation géographique aussi, on dit Afrique, Madagascar. Pourquoi? Et il y a beaucoup de questions qui surgissent ici de là. Et de ma part, selon la réponse de beaucoup de Malagasy, on dit Afrique, Madagascar parce que Madagascar est parmi la grande île environnante du grand continent d'Afrique. Voilà pourquoi on dit Afrique, Madagascar. Maintenant, il y a la croissance démographique. Il y a environ 27 millions de populations à Madagascar. Avec le taux, la prévalence des populations comme chrétiens, il y a environ 42% de chrétiens catholiques et protestants. Et il y a également aussi les églises, disons, évangéliques et bibliques, etc. Voilà pourquoi le nombre a augmenté. À Madagascar, comme grande île comme ça, nous avons beaucoup d'avantages et beaucoup de défis aussi. Notre avantage, c'est la sécurité et surtout aussi au niveau de vivre comme il faut. Donc, nous nous sentons en sécurité. Mais les défis, première chose, c'est l'isolement parce que nous sommes comme une île. Deuxième, c'est la question des langues. Malgré les dialectes, il y a 18 tribus à Madagascar et il y a des dialectes respectifs. Toutefois, nous en avons la langue officielle dont tout le monde la comprend partout dans l'île. Voilà. Maintenant, je voudrais faire un peu de partage sur mon ministère de formation. Après avoir retourné du Scholastica, j'ai reçu l'obédience dans une mission où se trouve le noviciat. En même temps, je fais les stages diaconal et socius du maître de novice. Et après l'ordination, j'ai continué encore ce ministère. Vers la fin de l'année 2011, j'ai poursuivi la formation auprès d'un centre de formation des formateurs ici à Antananarive. Et donc, en juillet 2012, j'ai terminé cette formation. Et après ça, j'ai reçu l'obédience pour succéder le maître de novice. Donc, j'ai commencé mon ministère au noviciat comme premier responsable, maître de novice, en septembre 2012. J'ai travaillé là pendant 8 ans. J'ai terminé ultérieurement le mois d'octobre 2020. J'espérais faire une sorte d'année de ressourcement, année sabbatique, mais pour le besoin de la délégation, voilà pourquoi l'administration m'a nommé avec le consentement de l'administration générale comme supérieur ici au Scholastica depuis le mois d'octobre dernier. Ici au Scholastica, nous sommes 2 conformateurs. Heureusement, malheureusement, disons, parce que il y a une équipe de 3 auparavant, mais chacun est parti pour des justes causes en mission et un autre père qui s'est chargé de la pastorale auprès du pré-noviciat et un autre qui a pensé d'aller faire l'année sabbatique, mais la situation de la COVID l'a empêché. Voilà pourquoi il est coincé. Toutefois, il est maintenant responsable vicaire d'une paroisse en ville. Nous sommes 2 ici, moi comme supérieur du Scholastica et puis un autre qui était directeur du pré-noviciat, le père Alfred. Disons que les jeunes, tous les scolastiques ici à la maison ont passé devant nous. Donc, on peut dire que c'est un avantage parce qu'on connaît plus ou moins les scolastiques en particulier. Mais le défi aussi, parfois, on a cette impression que parfois qu'on connaît déjà les jeunes et il y a parfois certaines, disons, points de vue préjugés. Voilà pourquoi notre défi, c'est de comprendre et d'accueillir les jeunes selon leur situation et processus de formation. Parce que quand il était pré-novice, ce n'est pas comme il était novice. Et au Scholastica, quand il était en première année, c'est différemment de sa situation en deuxième année ou troisième année, ainsi de suite. Pour cette année académique, nous avons ici à l'interne du Scholastica 28 scolastiques, 2 régents, ça veut dire 2 en stage de régence et un qui est en stage. Il a terminé l'étude, il est rentré de Rome et puis il est en train de faire le stage pastoral. 4 scolastiques, 4 diacres qui seront ordonnés le dimanche 18 juillet. Et parmi les scolastiques de la délégation de Madagascar, nous avons 2 au Cameroun et un scolastique au CEDAR, Sud-Afrique. Donc, les 28 scolastiques ici à Fianarantsoa, nous avons l'opportunité d'accueillir 2 autres scolastiques venant de l'unité de la province du Cameroun. Un Camerounais et un second, c'est un Nigérian. Voilà pourquoi, au niveau de la formation, dans le contexte des jeunes en formation, la communauté du Scholastica est maintenant, dans le contexte dont nous parlons maintenant sur l'interculturalité, et c'est une nouvelle expérience de la part des scolastiques, nouvelle expérience parce que ici à Madagascar, nous parlons en malagasy et les scolastiques et les étrangers doivent apprendre la langue locale. De la part de notre part, et c'est la part de notre scolastique aussi, ils doivent s'intégrer, apprendre, s'exprimer en français. Parce que l'étude, on le poursuit en français. Voilà. Notre scolastique fréquente le grand séminaire interdiocésain, un grand séminaire de consensus comme ça, de 2, archidiocèses, diocèses métropolitaines et 9 diocèses. Au grand séminaire, il y a aussi les religieux qui poursuivent les études, il y a les lazaristes, les assomptionnistes, les verbites, les ministres des infirmes, les camiliens plus précisément, les oblats, il y a aussi une nouvelle congrégation. Donc, il poursuit chaque jour les études là, en réalité parce qu'il est à la distance, donc ils vont en vélo. Voilà. Et ultérieurement, le grand séminaire est tellement reconnaissant de la collaboration avec les religieux, y compris les oblats, malgré notre impossibilité d'envoyer les professeurs parce que les 2 sont tous partis. On attend qu'un sera de retour après l'étude à Rome. Si tout va bien et si la frontière sera ouverte. Grâce à Dieu, depuis l'année 2017 jusqu'à maintenant, nous avons eu, la délégation connaît la croissance des vocations. Ça veut dire l'entrée au pré-noviciat était toujours plus de 10 jeunes. Cette année-ci, ils sont 11 au pré-novice, 10 au novice. Donc, c'est une bénédiction de la délégation parce qu'on a plus de vocations. Et c'est grâce à Dieu. Toutefois, la situation de Covid a beaucoup d'impact, comme dans le monde entier et surtout dans le contexte de notre formation ici à Madagascar. Certainement, le Covid a passé ici et certains de nos scolastiques ont été contractés, moi en personne également aussi. Et maintenant, on se retrouve, on s'est rétabli et la vie reprend à la normale. Mais l'impact du Covid dans la société et dans la vie de l'Église, première chose, c'est la restriction énoncée par le gouvernement. Il y a eu, merci Père Anthony, il y a eu des moments où toutes les églises ont été fermées. Et beaucoup de jeunes ne vont à l'église. Donc, le premier impact, c'est la baisse des correspondances des jeunes qui font la correspondance. Cette année-ci, nous avons moins de 10 jeunes en correspondance. Donc, fort possible que le nombre de jeunes qui vont entrer au pré-noviciat vont diminuer également aussi. C'est comme ça la situation. La COVID aussi a perturbé la vie communautaire, a influencé aussi comment l'individualisme et bien des choses négatives. Par rapport au Covid, parce que le séminaire a été fermé pendant presque un mois à cause des restrictions cette année-ci, mais le gouvernement a eu pitié de nous. Voilà pourquoi on a reçu la clémence et puis les scolastiques vont terminer leurs études ce mois de juillet. La semaine prochaine sera la session de la semaine d'examen. En plus, parmi le défi ou le problème dont nous passons ici, c'est au niveau matériel et des infrastructures. Le séminaire n'est pas capable de fournir le cours en ligne. Et en réalité aussi, si jamais il y a des séminaristes venant de l'extérieur, le séminaire continue toujours le cours à l'interne. Voilà. Et parmi notre défi aussi, le problème des routes, difficultés routières. Le gouvernement ne travaille pas comme il faut. Il y a beaucoup de choses qui ne vont pas. Voilà pourquoi il y a aussi d'impact. Et comme j'ai dit également, si les jeunes ne sont plus en contact et le nombre diminue. Voilà en réalité ce que nous avons vécu dans notre situation à Madagascar. Notre rôle comme formateur ici, on se connaît, nous avons eu la collaboration, on travaille sur l'accompagnement au niveau humain, la formation humaine, la formation spirituelle, et y compris aussi la formation, l'accompagnement intellectuel parce qu'ils poursuivent les études au séminaire. Il y a aussi des moments où on les aide et on l'accompagne. Comment peut-on surmonter leurs difficultés et pour pouvoir rehausser également aussi leur niveau. Et les scolastiques, nos scolastiques font aussi la pastorale auprès de la paroisse et auprès de certains centres. Certains travaillent avec les aveugles, certains travaillent auprès des jeunes, auprès de la paroisse. Donc, jusqu'à maintenant, nous voyons, de ma part également, aussi que l'expérience que j'ai vécue est fructueuse. Toutes mes expériences m'aident à reconnaître mon identité, à garder le bon témoignage parce qu'on est avec les jeunes. La première chose qu'on devrait tenir, c'est le bon témoignage, le bon rapport avec les jeunes. Parfois aussi, on se sent habitué, c'est ce qu'on devrait, de ma part, dépasser, c'est l'habitude et la routine. Et en plus aussi, comme certains des confrères ont parlé, une des difficultés dont nous affrontons également aussi, c'est la question du média. Il y a beaucoup de jeunes qui sont, disons, dépendants de du réseau social, mais beaucoup ont perdu la vocation à cause du média. Donc, ici au Scholastica, depuis les années, on a pris la mesure que les scolastiques n'utilisent pas le téléphone durant les jours ouvrables de la semaine, mais ils l'utilisent pour les week-ends. Et en tout, je pense que c'est la formation, l'expérience de la formation est positive jusqu'à maintenant. Cela m'aide beaucoup et cela me pousse à reconnaître de plus en plus mon identité comme missionnaire, comme religieux. Lacune dans la pastorale des formations, c'est la pastorale missionnaire. Et parfois, il faudrait demander toujours aux confrères qu'est-ce qu'on doit faire, comment se passe cette chose ou cette affaire-là. Au noviciat, j'ai eu l'expérience d'être responsable supérieur de la communauté et pris aussi quelque chose au sujet de la pastorale, mais c'est comme ça la lacune. Merci bien de m'avoir écouté. Et si jamais il y a des questions ou bien de remarques, c'est à vous de demander. Merci.
Thank you, Rosina. Merci. We'll have, of course, time for questions tomorrow in the afternoon and another days. So that's probably we'll discuss about many of these things we heard today. But now I think we deserve already break. So 20 minutes. So we'll meet here 10 to 4 in Rome. Outside, you must count the hour because I don't know very well. So in 20 minutes, we'll meet here. Remain connected. So now from Madagascar, thank you, Rosina, for presentation. From Madagascar, we go to Italy, to Scholasticate of Mediterranean Province. So Father Mauro.
I will be very short on myself. I'm Italian. I was born in 1962. I entered the seminary at 14. I was 14. 18, I entered the novitiate. 26, I was ordained priest in 1988. And then I went to South Korea in 1990. And I stayed for 14 years until 2004. Then I was called at the General House, where I worked for 13 years. So from 2004 to 2017. And then after that, I was asked to join the formation team in Vermicino, which is the Scholasticate in Italy. Former Scholasticate of the Italian province, now is Mediterranean province, so include also Spain and some mission and delegation. When I was working in Korea, I already worked in the formation, and basically I grew. I was the first one to open the mission in Korea, so basically I moved from pre-novitiate to novitiate, not because they did it in Sri Lanka and Australia, but superior of the scholastics in Korea. That was my last position before coming to Korea, to Rome, back to Rome. When I was in Korea, I had my training in the States for formators in St. Louis, IRF, which is the same course that the Father General did. So it was good for him. I don't know for me. Anyway, it was the same course. Probably he learned a lot. I don't know myself, but anyway. So in Vermicino, in the Scholastic Gate, I moved in 2017 as member of the formation team. At the beginning, I was also the local treasurer, which I said that's not possible because I've been treasurer for all my life. I was for 14 years in Korea, and when I moved to Rome, I came to Rome to work at the finance office. So I was assistant to the general treasurer. And so when I moved to Vermicino, I was again treasurer, and that's too much. But anyway, I don't know if it was the grace of God. Then I was named superior, and so I ended my job as a treasurer, at least. Well, I arrived in 2017. After a few months, the superior was named provincial of the Mediterranean province. So I was named an interim superior for 1 year. And then after 1 year, I was named officially superior for the first term of 3 years. So I don't know, usually you get a discount. So this is my second year of my mandate, but it's already the third year as a superior. So usually you get a discount. I got one extra one. But anyway, that's myself. The Scholastic community during the last year, I mean, academical year in Europe, which goes from October to October, so 2020 to 2021, our community was formed by 3 formators, one elder oblate, 89 years old. He was for 18 years missionary in Laos and companion of the martyrs there, 14 years missionary in Uruguay, and finally 22 years missionary in Kenya. So he's a man of experience. He's not part of the formation team, but he's living with us and a good presence for the scholastics. And then we had 14 scholastics in the house and 4 living outside the community. 2 they were on regency, and 2 were already at the last year of the scholastic age, so they joined for the last year another community before receiving the first obedience. Is an international scholastic age. So the formator, we are 2 Italian at the moment and 1 from Spain. The 2 from Italy, we had also experience outside Italy. I was as a Zen missionary in South Korea for 14 years. The other one was missionary to Uruguay for 21 years. So we have, and then 1 is from Spain. And then the scholastics also, at the moment we have 6 from Italy, 2 from Spain, 2 from Germany, 2 from the Czech Republic, 2 from Senegal, 1 from Paraguay, 1 from Croatia, 1 from Venezuela, and 1 from Romania. So as you can see, here at the General House, we have an international scholastic aid, but also in Rome, there is another international scholastic aid because Vermicino is still Rome, no? But anyway, that is a conflict of. Anyway, that's so it's an international community and international scholastic at the moment. The formation style. Okay, in our scholasticate in Vermicino is the former scholasticate of the Italian province, which in 1968 began a new formation project. It was just after the Vatican II. And so, you know, the formation house were closing, even our novitiate for 1 year was closed. So at that time, they start a new community in Marino, just outside Rome. And they moved there. It started as a youth center, a centro giovanile. So a place where young people were just going and staying for 1 year, not because they felt to be an oblate or they wanted to be an oblate, but just to give 1 year to God and to be open to listen to the call of God. So they made up, I want to get married, but anyway, I was studying, no? But they say, okay, I stop for 1 year and I put everything else outside. Like if I have a girlfriend, I just, for 1 year, I wait and see what God is asking me. That was the basic core experience of Marino. And then, of course, some of the people start to ask the oblates to be an oblate, to join the oblates. So in the same community, we have the novitiate. And then at the same time, after 3 or 4 years, the scholasticate was moved from the northern part of Italy to Vermicino, which is very close to Marino. So all the formation was moved there. So that's the history of our formation program. And in one sense, it's still this setup. When I was there, we didn't have a pre-novitiate formally. So if you went to Marino and at the end of the year you decide to be an oblate, okay, that year was your pre-novitiate. If you went home, it was just Centro Giovanile, a youth center. So, but now, like the general administration asked us, it's asked the whole congregation to have a formal pre-novitiate. So right now we have 1 year like in the youth center. And then if you feel like being an oblate or you question yourself to be an oblate, then you start the pre-novitiate year and then the novitiate, and then you move to Vermicino to the scholasticate. What to say? The center of our formation has been the new commandment of Jesus, love one another. I mean, from 1968 was the core of the experience there in Marino and Vermicino. The kind of love that bring the promise of Jesus alive. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Matthew 18:20. So I think that is the core of our formation. So to live together, to love each other, so to have the presence of Jesus in our midst. And I think the Constitution number 3, the community of the apostle with Jesus is the model of our life. Our Lord grouped the 12 around him to be his companions and to be sent out as his messengers. The call and the presence of Jesus, of the Lord among us today, bring us together in charity and obedience to create anew in our own life the apostles' unity with him and their communion mission in his spirit. So that is basically what the Constitution 3 is asking us. So our desire that everything is just the consequences and the expression of this mutual love and the presence of Jesus in our midst is the core of our formation program, if you want. Namely, the strong points of our formation vision, which are the strong emphasis on community life, not only during formation, but also during your future oblate life. The preference to work together, to see things together, the attention to each other, the relationship among us, the welcoming of people in our community and the people we meet in our pastoral work. All these are expression of this desire to love each other and to love people, and so to have the presence of Jesus in our community. Okay, this is the ideal, no? It's what we want, what we desire, no? It doesn't mean that we always fulfill this, no? But I think it's at least for me, is the basic formation program. Of course, one challenge, I have here challenges and reflection. I don't know which one to put first. No, I don't want to be too negative. Or one challenge is this one. I mean, this kind of formation is the one and also went through in 81, 83, when I joined Marino and then Vermicino. Being there now for 4 years, I say, well, maybe sometime, you have destruction of this desire, no? So to live, to love each other. So if you love each other, then you eat together, and then you share, you have group sharing, stuff like this, no? These are flowing from this desire to love each other. Sometime I'd say, okay, maybe now we have the structure, which was born from there, but we don't have anymore this love for each other. No? So we have to eat together. Okay, we eat together. I always tell them that when we go to heaven, we will not be asked if we eat together, no? But if we love each other. So I think this is a challenge, you know, how to keep alive the gospel among us, you know, and the Constitution number 3. Another challenge, as I said, no, when I was in Korea, I was already information before coming to Rome. At that time, I was an Italian in Korea, and the formandi, they were all Koreans. So of course it was a challenge for me because being an Italian, I have to adjust to the culture there. But in one sense, I have only a unity in front of me: the Korean culture, the Korean people, the Korean language, etc. I don't know if it was easier there then than now. Now I'm an Italian. I'm in Italy. I work in the Italian Scholasticate, or used to be the Italian Scholasticate, but our scholastic are from Italy, Spain, Germany, Senegal, Paraguay, Venezuela, Czech Republic, Romania, Croatia. And right now we have one candidate from Ireland in Marino, so probably next year he will join us. I think no, recently that is a challenge for our students. Okay, we are from different countries now. What do we eat? What time we eat? No, you know, you have people from Spain, they eat at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. The other people, they eat at 6 o'clock in the evening. No? So practical things, but also I put in this way, right now we are very strong to be international, and I think after the last chapter, intercultural. Of course, when I went to Korea and when I studied missiology 32 years ago, the strong word was inculturation. So sometimes I ask myself, okay, it's important to be intercultural, international. What about inculturated? What I mean, Europe, some years ago, decided to have only 2 scholasticates in Europe. So Poland, which is also serving Ukraine, I don't know. And Italy Vermicino was chosen to be the one for France, Ireland, Spain, Germany, etc., etc. In one sense, it's just a coincidence. No? It could have been chosen the one in Germany, Unfeld. So the fact that he's in this moment is in Italy, what does it mean? So we can sit down and talk with each other. Okay, you are from Germany, from Italy. We can adjust, no, and make agreements. But at the same time, outside the door, there is Italy. There is the cook in our house. She's Italian, so she can cook Romanian food. I don't know. So it's a challenge for me, no? How to keep alive, you know, the fact that we are in Italy now, and what does it mean for me, first of all.
Mauro, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. And then another challenge is special cases. I was thinking a scholasticate was created because our people needs to be trained in theology and have canonical studies. And so there is a setup, and this is the normal life. Right now, we have a candidate to be Oblate brother, who is 44 years old, has already finished all the studies. So everybody's going to the university, to the Lateran, he has a different program, no? That's is a question. Or even more, we have a young priest, he is 34 years old, but he's already been priest for 9 years, a diocesan priest. So he's now living with us, and the question was for us, okay, is the scholastic aid the place where we form our students? But this guy already was priest for 9 years. No, how can we ask him to go back to formation, this kind of formation? These are questions we have. The many changes in the formation team. I moved there after a few months. The superior was named provincial, so we remained for two of us. Then a new one came. Then another one left. And now another one is leaving. No? So almost every year we have a different formation team. I think this is a challenge for us. I finished one positive remark. This year, as a formation program, we also decide to take the 9 points of the Oblate Charism that were named in the Congress in 1976. So every month we took one of these points and we work for 1 month on this. No? And I think we will keep doing this also next year. It's very helpful for us, no? To take and to remind. It's a kind of habit, no? That you that's it. Ciao di nuovo.
Grazie, Mauro. You spoke also about interculturality. We think that's very important theme. For that, the next week we'll start with this theme. 3 days we'll speak and discuss about interculturality. Thank you, Mauro. And now we have long travel because we travel to Mexico. Father Cándido.
Ok, bueno, entonces les presento el escolasticado San Eugenio de Macenot. Estamos viviendo en la capital, la Ciudad de México. Aquí en la comunidad somos 3 hermanos de filosofía, 11 hermanos de teología y como formadores su servidor Cándido González, Bede, Suyajarán. Compartimos 5 nacionalidades: Sri Lanka, Guatemala, México, Colombia y El Salvador. Bueno, me presento. Mi nombre es Cándido González. Concluí mi formación en el postnoviciado y fui enviado en mi primera obediencia a la parroquia de San Nicolás de Tolentino, en Coajiniculapa, Guerrero, México, donde los oblatos acompañan a la comunidad afromestiza. Estuve allí alrededor de 5 años. Posteriormente, de abril de 2008 a junio de 2017, estuve como formador del prenoviciado en Guadalajara, México. A partir de julio de 2017, soy formador del posnoviciado en el escolasticado San Eugenio de Macenot, aquí en la Ciudad de México. Mi experiencia en la formación. Un caminar, un ideal. En estos 13 años de estar en la formación, ha implicado poner atención a mi conversión personal, a la profundización del carisma, al trabajo en equipo. He podido sentir la exigencia de seguirme preparando, de poner atención a las situaciones del mundo presente y de lo que vive la Iglesia hoy. Para el verdadero crecimiento del hermano en formación, ha sido necesario saber estar con los jóvenes. Y esto ha implicado tener empatía, paciencia, comprensión y aprecio. Es decir, ser presencia significativa es una responsabilidad y es un reto al estar entre los jóvenes que todo el tiempo nos ven. Estoy convencido que por el servicio que realizamos en la iglesia, sigue valiendo la pena seguir invirtiendo recursos, tiempo y vida. Con sinceridad, puedo expresar que en varias ocasiones he podido sentir la impotencia y la limitación al no poder caminar con los hermanos como se debiera. Pero también he podido sentir la paz y la alegría al ver al hermano realizarse y consagrarse como misionero oblato. En este caminar en la formación, la oración, el discernimiento y la consulta con especialistas, oblatos y comunidad cristiana han jugado un papel importante para la toma de decisiones, pues siento la responsabilidad ante la persona del formando, ante la congregación, la iglesia y ante la sociedad. Finalmente, puedo decir que tengo bien presente las palabras de aliento de San Eugenio, el padre Mile, quien encontraba la carga muy pesada de ser formador. La doble participación que tendrás en todas sus obras te compensará ampliamente el sacrificio que haces. Ahora voy a pasar a la experiencia de la comunidad en tiempos de pandemia. Al estar confinados, trajo consigo replantearnos una dinámica interna para seguir atendiendo de forma virtual la escuela y atender nuestra salud mental a través de la convivencia, el deporte, la oración, etc. El habernos contagiado con el COVID puso de manifiesto la solidaridad para atender a los hermanos enfermos y la empatía para ayudar a las personas que pedían comida en la puerta de nuestra casa. Al principio de este año 2021 tuvimos el taller para una vida consagrada, resiliente y compasiva ante los desafíos del COVID-19. Con interés se participó de este taller, ayudando a enfocarnos mejor en nuestro crecimiento personal y de cómo atender lo que estamos viviendo. ¿Qué llamadas estamos escuchando de esta sociedad cambiante? Estoy convencido que el carisma puede responder al tiempo que vivimos. Hoy día esta cercanía con las personas se realiza de manera concreta al escuchar a las personas en sus situaciones de pérdida, de duelo. Una vida interrelacionada que implica de manera más consciente sentirse afectado por los demás en su vulnerabilidad. Involucrarnos en las iniciativas, proyectos que ya se están llevando a cabo en cuestiones de justicia, solidaridad y ecología. ¿Cómo deberíamos preparar mejor a nuestros formandos para la iglesia y la sociedad post-COVID? Continuar tomando en cuenta la formación personal integral. Tenemos el desafío de revisar nuestra comprensión de la vida religiosa y relectura de los votos en el marco de nuestra relación con toda la creación de Dios y con el mundo de hoy. La identidad oblata exige más convicción en su ser y pertenecer, y corre el riesgo de desenfocarse, poner más atención a lo demandante, a lo que se vive de forma virtual y descuidar la vida interior, la relación con Dios. Muchas gracias. Ahora les va a compartir el Padre Bede.
Hola, buenos días, saludos a todos. Buenas tardes, buenas noches. Soy Bede Sujahren, Soy originario de Sri Lanka. Aquí en México me conocen como Bede, pero toda otra parte del mundo me conocen como Suja. Sí, yo nací en la ciudad de Jaffna, en Sri Lanka, en 1987. Conocí a los oblatos por mi propia familia. Después, cuando tenía 15 años, entré con los oblatos. 2009 hice mis primeros votos en Sri Lanka. Después 2 años de estudios filosóficos, fui enviado a Roma por mis superiores. Ahí estudié 3 años de teología y 2 años de una licencia en la filosofía práctica en la Universidad Gregoriana. Al mismo tiempo, aprofundizando el carisma oblato sobre el trabajo, justicia y paz. Yo aprecio y valoro mucho mi experiencia, 5 años de Roma, también otros lugares de casa de formación, donde yo tenía que vivir con las personas de otros contextos o otras nacionalidades. Por ejemplo, las experiencias que he tenido, pasé algunos meses en Camerún, en África, en otros lugares, en Italia, en Francia, en las misiones oblatos. 2014 hice mis votos perpetuos. 2015 fue ordenado diácono por Monseñor Guillermo Stecklin. Y regresando a mi país en 2017, en enero, fui ordenado sacerdote. Y ahí el mismo día recibí la obediencia por la provincia de México. Pero antes de llegar a México, trabajé 1 año y 5 meses en mi provincia de origen. Yo colaboré en el Centro de la Paz y la Reconciliación en la provincia de Jaffna. Al mismo tiempo, fui encargado de un centro de los jóvenes aspirantes, se llama OPTEC. Llegando a México, trabajé 1 año en una parroquia como vicario pastoral. Después también como un padre responsable de un centro, se llama CEMPO, de Acción Social de la provincia de México. Hace 2 años, desde 2019, estoy colaborando, hago parte del equipo de la formación en el escolasticado. Con estas experiencias de vivir varios lugares y agradeciendo también al Padre General por esta posibilidad de trabajar en otro continente, en otro lugar que es totalmente diferente que al mío, yo considero y valoro mucho la experiencia internacional e intercultural. Para responder a las preguntas, ¿qué llamadas estamos escuchando de esta sociedad cambiante y nueva? Yo siempre me pregunto, como joven misionero y formador, ¿qué puedo hacer? ¿Cómo puedo apoyar a los formandos de la nueva generación? Primero estamos ante una generación, se llama generación cristal, Crystal Generation. Es un concepto de una filósofa española, Montserrat Nebrera. El concepto habla de la fragilidad o la manera en que quedan rotos por dentro si algo no les sale como ellos deseaban. Entonces, ante esta situación, ante esta generación, ¿cómo los vamos a acompañar? Tenemos una generación que nace y crece en la tecnología, la cibergeneración, en la creciente importancia de la psicología y como resultado de los nuevos descubrimientos en el campo de la psicología, de las emociones, de los sentimientos, tenemos que buscar nuevas formas de inculcarles el valor de los consejos evangélicos. Después tenemos candidatos que provienen de las familias disfuncionales, la urgencia de acompañarlos. Después tenemos un sentido de lo sagrado y del mundo promovido por la secularización y la necesidad de formarlos en una espiritualidad más profunda contra la cultura de la superficialidad. Por la última pregunta, ¿cómo deberíamos preparar mejor a nuestros formandos para la iglesia, para la sociedad post-COVID? Como decía Padre Cándido, nosotros fuimos uno de los primeros comunidades formativas que contagiamos en el octubre del año pasado. Casi la mayoría de la comunidad se contagiaron. Pero uno de los resultados de la pandemia es de encerrarse en su propio mundo. Como dice en español, ensimismarse, no querer salir de su propia zona de confort. Sacarlos de ahí es importante. Enseñarles a ver la pandemia no como una amenaza, sino como una oportunidad para crecer en la persona de Cristo y profundizar en nuestra espiritualidad. Después, dándoles una contravisión contra las tendencias políticas actuales, formarlos como hombres de la comunidad con los valores comunitarios como responsabilidad, comunicación, información, colaboración y el liderazgo. Últimamente, formar futuros misioneros apasionados por el bienestar de los más abandonados en todo el mundo. No están limitados por su propio contexto, propio país o propia región, sino a ir a todo el mundo. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Candido, Beth. Thank you for this rich sharing. I think many communities of Scholasticate were hit by COVID. Now I think South Africa still is suffering with COVID, so let's pray for all of them. So we come back from Mexico to Europe. We are coming back to Rome, but to speak about Pakistan. Father Gulshan.
I'm Father Gulshan Barkat from Oblate Delegation of Pakistan, assistant at Oblate Scholasticate with the superior of the Scholasticate, Father Vernon Derrick from Sri Lanka. In my 10 years of priesthood, this is my 7th year in mission ministry, 4 years in the Oblate Juniorate as formator and rector, and presently 3rd year in the Oblate Scholasticate Karachi as formator and lecturer of church history at the National Catholic Institute of Theology, NCIT, where our scholastics study theology. Oblate Scholasticate is situated in a predominantly Muslim settlement in Karachi, the city of over 25 million inhabitants. Muslim inhabitants around us point to our house as Father's house. The purpose of this house with 2 formators and presently 6 scholastics is to finish the last leg of study program, theology, required to become a priest. We live in a community of mutual respect, collaboration, where scholastics are required to grow in, firstly, oblate values in an oblate community environment, and secondly, genuine willingness on the part of each candidate to live fully life, manifesting his commitment to love Christ, the church, devotion to Our Lady, have sense of belonging to the congregation, and readiness to grow in holiness in order to become a worthy missionary. For this, the scholastics are demanded to have rigorous commitment to high academic standards. They are made aware of the fact that to be in the Oblate Scholasticate is not a holiday. Through participation in well-prepared liturgical celebrations which nurtures their personal devotion and growth in piety and commitment to prayer life, integrity in human relationships, sense of personal formation which enables the candidates to act and think and speak and interrelate as mature adults. And lastly, continuous accompaniment of candidates on the part of formators. Effects of COVID-19 on post-novitiate formation program. Pakistan, with a population of 220 million people, of which around 2% adhere to Christianity, has so far managed quite well the COVID pandemic crisis in the country as the world prepares for the 4th wave. To date, COVID has resulted 22,427 deaths, 963,660 infections, and 907,934 recoveries. Around 18 million people have been vaccinated. We are living in COVID pandemic reality, and post-COVID environment seems distant with domestic and international borders and air travel shut down and restored intermittently. Like the rest of the oblate world, the brunt of such restriction has struck the Pakistan delegation, particularly oblate scholasticate, as far as academic, formative, and pastoral areas are concerned. In its resolve to combat the rise and spread of COVID-19 pandemic, Pakistan government ordered closure of all government and private educational institutes, hostels, and seminaries in the country in March 2020. Following the order, the NCIT was also shut down, and like the seminarians of diocesan major seminary and religious houses affiliated with NCIT, we were also forced to send our scholastics home. From March to September 2020, no classes, not even online, were held. After a span of 6 months, on 15th of September, physical classes resumed of second semester of the academic year 2019-2020, although September normally is the beginning of the first semester of the new academic year. Overwork for both students and teaching staff was quite demanding, as Saturday, an extra hour each day entered into daily class schedule. The NCIT, with collaboration of affiliated religious houses, including the Oblate Scholasticate, managed to conclude successfully the academic year 2020-2021. Our scholastics have performed well in their academic endeavors. Addition of Saturdays into the class schedule and spread of pandemic meant that there will be no weekly pastoral exposure of scholastics to parishes and special houses of old and handicapped people. This arrangement continues to date in the NCIT. The delegation of Pakistan, comprising 33 priests, 13 juniorists, 6 philosophy students, 7 pre-novices, and 9 scholastics, out of 2 studying in Rome, had to deal with COVID effects. Our candidates, after finishing philosophy, were to go to Sri Lanka for pre-novitiate and novitiate in January 2019. Their visas were delayed and ultimately denied due to the spread of pandemic. There were 2 philosophy graduate student groups, numbering 6, who had nowhere to go. With the permission of the General Administration, they were allowed to start their theology. Meanwhile, the General Administration also gave necessary permission to Pakistan delegation to start pre-novitiate program. Having finished their first year of theology study, candidates without vows will begin their pre-novitiate in Pakistan on 15th of July, 2021. I acknowledge that we were then unprepared when the effects of pandemic hit us. Now, looking back, we pose a question to ourselves. If the smart lockdown, semi-lockdown, or complete lockdown had not come quickly, then what we could have done for the continuation of formation program of our scholastics. We have been through 3 waves. What have they so far taught us? We've been restricted, but we had huge learning experience. What are we called to do in and post-COVID reality when the church and the society are struggling to come out of it? I believe during COVID, we should be unleashing creativity in our formation program. We can draw learning from the attitude and foresightedness of our founder, Saint Eugene de Maisonneuve. In the post-French Revolution, when the bride of Christ was cruelly ravaged, Eugene not only entered the seminary, became priest, but established a congregation which we all are part of. We can draw back our attention to the Oblate Formation Program during 2 world wars, when murder, killing, destruction of cities and cultures, hundreds of millions of people in transit, rise of communism were around. We can learn from the strategies the congregation employed during and after the Spanish flu. In war-torn countries where oblates are serving, how do they cope with such situations when it comes to formation? We have been through huge crises before. Our formation structures do not seem to be working as we want them to in this COVID situation, which is going on for 18 months and does not seem to have a quick ending. What is needed in view of our Pakistani experience is a creative approach to our formation program. I agree that due to the pandemic, the pastoral care has collapsed. Liturgical life has collapsed. Preparing our people and re-engaging them has collapsed. The human and fraternal relationships, family relationships, and connections have collapsed. These have been bread and butter of our society. But we are to move on with new perspectives in new reality. Our formation community at the Oblate Scholasticate is gradually moving out of isolation back into a wider communal reality with our confreres and neighbors. Even here, we present in the General House, or you participating virtually, the struggle of fraternal support continues unabated. Those in formation are also undergoing such a situation. The challenge for us is to read the signs of the time and look for breakthrough points right now, which will enable the oblate creativity to break through as a precedent for future generations. Are we, the oblates, rendered powerless by COVID? I believe no. St. Eugene's response was continuation of Christ's soul-saving mission. We oblates are responsible for the vitality and continuity of our congregation and nurturing of oblate mission and spirituality. Are we moving to nation units when interculturality and internationality is severely hit by the pandemic? In the situation of pandemic, which continues, and while holding on to the values of interculturality and internationality, we as formators and formation leadership have to have a clear alternative decision to ensure our candidates have the necessary novitiate and post-novitiate experience as part of their formation program. Day before yesterday, in the inaugural address, Father Louis Lugan, the Superior General, said that along with Father Cornelius Goka, the General Counselor for Formation, and his team, he was determined to organize this workshop, although pandemic is still sweeping across the world. Thank you for this courageous decision, Father General. I end by saying that we, the formators, are like farmers plowing a field with new machines in a new circumstance so that we can plant the same seed for the same crop. Farmers have to do with climate change as they are farming. May Mary Immaculate, the patroness of our congregation, continue to intercede for us and the end of pandemic. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Gulshan. Thank you for presentation. In one letter, Father General wrote that we are called for the times like that. So we see pandemic as an opportunity, although pandemic is causing many troubles. For example, for you in the formation, we see those troubles, but we must solve it. So we hope we'll find a good solution for Pakistan, also for formation in Pakistan. So thank you for that. And I think we have time for one more. So we travel to Philippines. Ross.
Good evening. I was ready to go to sleep.
Later.
So I'm Father Ross Kapunan. I joined the Oblate in 1996, straight from high school. And I took my first vows in 2002. And I spent my post-novitiate years in Manila as well as in Rome. Uh, and I returned and was ordained priest in 2008. And when I returned, my former provincial, Mon Bernabe, as I think you would know, sent me to the island of Tawi-Tawi as my first assignment. And I was in charge of a small Christian community amongst the majority Muslim community. But it was a good 5-month experience, although very short. Uh, I was able to live among Muslims and live a harmonious life with them. So it was a good experience for me. After that, I was transferred to be chaplain of the first Notre Dame school in the Philippines for 3 years. And after 3 years, my third assignment was in the junior rate for a good 6 years. That's why the two scholastics, Filipino scholastics there, were my formans in the junior rate. Unfortunately, they will not see me anymore here in the scholasticate. They escaped me. So for the others, they will see me here at the scholasticate. So I'm now also on my 4th year in the scholasticate after 6 years in the junior rate. So in almost 13 years of my ministry, 10 years of them are in formation. But all the chaplaincy years in the school was also years of formation, especially for spiritual formation of our students. My experience in formation, I would like to begin with a positive note. The formation ministry for me offered opportunities for further personal growth as a person, as an educator, and as a formator. And I think that was the very first concern I had when I took the formation ministry, whether I am equipped to do the work, because I felt that I was not. But over the years, I discovered more about myself and my own capacity and my own deficiencies. The second one is living with young people helped me understand the youth today. And what gives me joy, especially, is seeing their growth and development over the years. For many of us, we seem not to hear so much the joy of formators, but I think it's good to say that our joy is to see them become good oblates, that they grow and develop over the years. So much with the joy, I think I only have two. I have more challenges. The first challenge I had was the feeling of inadequacy for being unprepared to assume the formation ministry. This has always been our struggle in the Philippines. The struggle with the appropriate approach in formation, considering the current social situation and the generational formandy, as the others have also mentioned. What right or proper approach are we to do with this generation and with the current situation? Another challenge is the insufficiency of well-trained formators, counselors, and spiritual directors. And I suppose this is also a challenge in other units. The challenge of quality accompaniment, especially with a large number of formands. And I think that's something I also suffered in my years in the junior rate with many formands, very few formators. Another challenge is the readiness and the capacity of formands to live interculturally. cultural and personality differences truly affect the dynamics of community life. Okay? As many have experienced in living with the international communities, they do affect the dynamics of community life, our cultural and personality differences. Another challenge is, going through many years in formation does not guarantee the appropriate maturity of the foreman. The quality of formation is the essential factor in the journey, not the length of years. Presently, the restrictions of the pandemic affect the quality of our community life and pastoral engagement, or otherwise our missionary formation, because we have to isolate also at times from each other because we were also affected by COVID. One was positive. Because it's difficult for us because we are not built to live in isolation and social distancing. That's not our life. That's why it's really difficult, to gather, to bring the community together when you're not able to. We were not allowed to play sports. We're not allowed to. We have to distance from each other. There were times that we had to eat isolated from each other. That's very difficult. But at the same time, that's a good sign because our scholastics take very seriously community life. Another challenge that came up, I don't know if it is also true in other units because it came up in ours, are issues concerning mental health. The stress with online studies, isolation from others, not being able to meet friends, other friends. It's very difficult also mentally for others. So far, those are some challenges we have encountered. Now, the question of how can we better prepare our formandi for the post-COVID-19 church and society? And I think this has been mentioned also by the others. How to teach our foremans to use the current technology and platform, like the social media, to be well informed, to connect with people. At least there's some kind of a virtual proximity, and to use them as tools for evangelization and ministry. Perhaps there's also the need to emphasize the care for the vulnerable, the care for our common home, because these are the poor during this pandemic, the vulnerable people among us and our common home. And I think emphasis on this in the formation can also help focus our sight as oblates to always look for the poor among us. Give attention. Another one is to give attention not only to the spiritual, but also to the physical and mental well-being of our formats. There is now what they call adversity quotient. In other words, to how can we teach or inculcate strength, mental strength, in times of adversity to our formats, especially the generation that did not have to go through a lot of difficulties. Now they're going through it. So are they strong enough to be able to withstand all the challenges? And perhaps I'll end very shortly with to be more creative, but not reckless in a way, in responding to pastoral needs and social situations. Because I think we cannot just sit down and watch people suffering without doing anything that we can do. So in our very simple way, we also, as a community, gathered our resources, even personal resources, allowances, to donate some food to the most affected in our vicinity. So in a way, there is a pastoral involvement among our scholastics, and being aware of what's happening around them. And I think that's very important part of their formation during this time, is that they know what's happening around them, that they cannot just stay inside the house and live comfortably, but that they know what's happening and be creative in making a response. So that's why one of the activities I asked of them, try to go out, don't just stay and look at what are the needs that the people have around you, and make a creative response. So perhaps there can be many other things that can be done as part of the formation program, because now we cannot also do the weekend apostolate or summer apostolate, but some was given the opportunity. Like, for example, now some scholastics, 2 of them are sent in one of our parish in Grace Park, where the famous Father Ponpon is doing his ministry, the Laudato Si ministry, and we have sent some scholastics there to also experience that. So we're trying to balance things, not to be too reckless, but also not to be too comfortable with our life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ross. We know the role of formator is very important, but I think in the time of pandemic is even more important. So that's, we must think also that our role is very important in this time now. Thank you for the presentation. Before we stop, 3 information maybe. So the first, if you can send all presentations to Shanil, even you have maybe PowerPoint or so, only Word presentation, send it to Shanil, we'll put it together and after we'll send it back to you. So that will be, I think, very nice to have all these presentations together. So we ask you kindly to send all the presentation here to Shanil. Those who are presenting tomorrow, you can send already the presentation. That will get the work of translators easier, because they will have text before the eyes, so that is much easier to present. So if you can send today or tomorrow morning your presentation, that will help a lot. The second, only to remind again that the prayer tomorrow will be led by Scholasticate in Haiti. Tomorrow prayer at the beginning of our meeting. And we will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. Roman time again. That means 10 p.m. for Australia and 7 a.m. for Mexico and San Antonio. So we will meet tomorrow. And now we can thank you for participation today. It was, I think, very rich evening or afternoon or morning. It depends. And we can finish our meeting with prayer.